So today has kind of been a complete bummer. What I initially intended for the vlog today is not going to be the vlog today. So with that said, so to set off this whole mishap that has been today, yesterday the weather channels, the weather people, the meteorologist announced that there was a tropical storm brewing in the Gulf of Mexico, and it was gonna make land hit or landfall or whatever you want to call it early this morning. And it kind of did. I don't know. That was supposed to happen at like 7 this morning. It is currently 7:30 in the evening. And now they're saying that it's going to hit here in the San Marcos and Austin area between now and midnight. Let me show you a radar of this thing. Alright, I apologize for the darkness of the shot, but it's just so I can underexpose for the iPhone screen. Okay, so if we zoom in here, this is a tropical storm, all of this happening, and if you watch the motion, it's doing pretty much what you would expect a tropical storm to do. Yeah, it's swirling around, and that black dot is where I am, and if that isn't heading right towards us, I don't know what is. Okay. So with all that said, my vlog today was going to be focused on, I guess, my experiences with like bad weather situations in the past, since this whole tropical storm bill is like coming this way. I was going to especially talk about my experience during Hurricane Ike back in 2008 when it was like heading straight for Houston, or it was heading somewhere in that direction, and like people were evacuating, and it was really crazy. Well, while everyone was like evacuating Houston, I was driving into Houston because my dad, he works for a museum, and the museum owns this mansion in River Oaks that's kind of like a museum itself. It's like a mansion museum or something like that. Anyways, he works for the museum, and they had him stay on call at this mansion. He had to stay there through the hurricane to make sure that everything was okay. He had to maintain the building and stuff. And I didn't want him to stay there by himself. My mom didn't want him to stay there by himself. So we both ended up staying with him at the mansion along with his other co-workers. And I don't remember if the hurricane was like super bad. I know it was bad enough. And it was scary. Like, it was a scary night. The weather was terrible. The rain, the lightning, and especially the wind. And this is where I explain why today has been such a bummer. During all of that experience, staying in the mansion throughout the hurricane, I had my camera with me, my camera that I had back in 2008. I had it with me, and I was filming the whole thing. I was filming during the hurricane while we were just like inside this old like mansion, and you could hear the wind and all that stuff. And I remember waking up the next morning and walking around the mansion to see like the damage, and I was recording all of that. The mansion is in River Oaks, and over there in River Oaks, like, the trees are just ridiculously tall, and in the morning all the trees had just like fallen over. The driveway to get into the mansion was just like no more, because there was just like trees blocking it like crazy. And for the life of me, I cannot find that footage. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. I think it got re-recorded over in the years since, and that's just such a bummer. Okay, so since I can't show you some footage and talk to you about my past experiences with Hurricane Ike, with the possibility of some bad weather coming in tonight, I will in exchange talk about technological advances in cameras since 2008. I want to talk about that because this is honestly the reason why that footage just doesn't exist anymore. Well, in all honesty, I'm the reason that footage doesn't exist anymore, because I'm the one that would have re-recorded over that footage. But the fact that you could re-record over any type of footage in 2008 is just ridiculous, so that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so my days in video with video actually started back in 2005, 2006, and in 2007, I got my first like digital video camera. Let me find that though. Okay, so this was my first video camera ever. It was the Sony HDV Handycam, I think. It was legit back in 2007. It lasted me a good 3 to 4 years, but after that the screen started to go out. It used to read the tapes all weird and it would like jump footage and stuff like that sometimes. But anyways, this is what I shot the hurricane footage with at that time. So I think it's safe to say that in the past 7 years that cameras have come a long way since this. So nowadays I use nothing but DSLR cameras. This is my 70. I'm shooting on my 60 right now, which is like my main DSLR camera. This is my backup. And then for the vlogs, I've got my little G16. And these cameras have been nothing but great. I got the interchangeable lenses. You know what? I don't want to get into gear right now. I'll do a different vlog on gear, but these are the cameras that I'm using. The good thing about all these cameras is there's no tape involved like my other camera. Here, I literally just got a memory card. I take that memory card, I go and put it on my computer. My footage is on my computer. Simple as that. So back in the day when I would shoot with this guy, this thing only took these guys, little mini DV tapes, and trust me, these things were such a hassle. So yeah, with these things you had 60 minutes at most to record. You could always record over what you had, so me being the unorganized kid that I was in 2008, I would re-record over these things all the time without ever getting the footage off of it of what existed there before. And it was such a hassle trying to get what was on your tape onto your computer at that time. You would have to plug in a cord to this guy and then plug the other into your computer, and then you would have to sit there and let your camera play out everything that you wanted to upload to your computer. And it was like recording what was on here into a file on your computer, and it was just ridiculous. It just took forever. So if I had shot something worth 60 minutes, I would have to sit in front of my computer for 60 minutes as that uploaded. And the crazy thing was that SD cards were around at that time. They just were really only for still picture cameras. They hadn't made a camera that would like record to one of these bad boys. So like this was all that really existed, or some other weird kind of memory card that just didn't last at that time. Anyways, if there's any type of important aspect to grasp from this vlog, besides just me ranting about how bad technology was 7 years ago, I'm glad that I've experienced making videos throughout all these years, because I really kind of have a backbone of knowing just a glimpse of how hard it might have been during like those analog years where everything was just like tape, you know, everything was just on tapes. And it took me teaching myself at that point in time, like the chords I had to go by and the programs I had to use just to get that footage off those cameras. That way I could make my 1 to 2 minute movie that I was making at that time. All of that has really led me to appreciate having something like this and being able to make movies quickly, being able to go shoot a wedding and then just to dump all of a wedding, dump 8 hours onto a computer in like less than an hour. Like that just blows my mind when I compare it to how these things worked 7 years ago. So like I said, I was very irresponsible with those tapes at that time. I would always re-record stuff, and going through the tapes today, I went through those tapes for like 3 to 4 hours trying to find that footage, and it was nowhere on there. But like the tapes jumped. Like the footage and all the tapes just jumped all over the place, and that just went to show how much I would just re-record over stuff, which was bad on my part. Anyways, enough on that rant. I guess that's what I wanted to talk about today. I will start recording tonight if by any chance the storm rolls through and it's actually really bad. I hope that it's not. I hope that it just kind of breaks up throughout the night. But it's looking pretty rough on the radar, so we'll see what happens. I will see y'all tomorrow.